Alright Shove It Squad, the Hawk is pretty excited for today's video because it's Ring of the Hawk Season 5, the show where we watch back a wrestler's short run with a company, and at the end we shove them a final grade to see if they can do the job to the HAWK. And Chris Benoit in ECW has dominated Season 5. Nobody has really come close, but I think today his reign as champion is under threat by another ECW run. Today's video was also a Patreon request by CJ Haas and also MJDF, who just won't shut up on YouTube about it, so I've probably got to give him a shout out too. Probably the same guy. So one punch to the gut will take care of it. If you want to make the Hawk talk, sign up today. Okay, it's Bam Bam Bigelow, the best on the Shove It show or the definition of blow. Bam Bam is someone the Hawk never gets to talk about, and I think that shows that despite wrestling throughout the wackiest time period in wrestling, he somehow didn't really do anything that stupid, and he's quite a respected big man, so I'm excited for this one. Bigelow eventually got tired of the KLIQ in the WWF and negotiated his release in 1995. He spent the next year and a half on the Indies and in Japan before he started appearing for ECW. It looked like he was coming in to feud with Shane Douglas, but instead they ended up forming a group called the Triple Threat alongside Chris Candido and Francine. Match 1, 6-man tag, the Triple Threat. Despite being a heel, the crowd seem very happy that he's here. They take on Balls Mahoney and the Pitbulls. Bigelow joins the match against Balls. They brawl for a bit before Bigelow gets the advantage with a DDT and a headbutt. He barely does a thing in this match except breaking up pins and one side slam on Pitbull number 2. The Triple Threat are winning despite Bigelow barely doing a thing. He finally works with Shane Douglas to hit a clothesline and a falling headbutt. It feels like perhaps they're trying to save Bigelow and build up some intrigue. He eventually hits Gary Wolf with a chair but pays for that with a powerbomb off the top rope. Bigelow looks to be beaten until Douglas smacks the Pitbull with a chain, and that's how it ends. Not the incredible debut we wanted if Bigelow's going to knock off Benoit today. It's a D. Match 2, singles match, Bam Bam Bigelow vs Pitbull number 2. Bam Bam instantly throws him out of the ring by his collar and starts hanging him. Probably not the best choice of attire to wear to the ring then. Bigelow smacks him one so many times that it's certainly more than one. Pitbull looks finished and Bigelow hasn't even left first gear. He puts on a bear hug for a while and you start to realise what a truly massive man Bigelow is. Pitbull bites his way out of the bear hug but runs straight into a Bigelow dropkick. I was hoping we'd get moves like this from the big man. I've heard that he can apparently move like a cruiserweight, but we've seen precious little evidence so far. Pitbull 2 fights out of a sleeper with Bigelow pulling comically confused faces. Pitbull keeps knocking him down. He hits a spinning heel kick and a scoop slam. A clothesline off the top gets Pitbull a 2. Bigelow reverses a back body drop flawlessly into a powerbomb. It's Bigelow's turn to climb, which fails and he falls on his nutsack. Francine causes a distraction and Douglas saves Bigelow from a superplex. Gary Wolf saves his friend as the match continues. Candido breaks up a power slam as Bigelow hits a botchy looking bulldog and that's the 3. Not quite what I'd hoped for, and Bigelow needed a lot of help to win here. There were moments here where it looked like something was about to happen, but Bigelow has barely removed his Y front yet. It's a D. Match 3, 6-man tag, Triple Threat once again take on Balls Mahoney and the Pitbulls. It doesn't resemble much of a match. It's hard to know where it starts and where it finishes. The Dudleys are fighting with New Jack and other ECW wrestlers, so it's hard to know what I'm even watching at this point. It feels like I hadn't seen Bigelow for about 5 minutes. He finally appears in the ring saving Douglas for chop block. Douglas hits a belly to belly and it's over. Jesus Christ, this isn't going well at all. We've seen almost nothing so far. Fortunately, this is a fair bit longer than Benoit's run in the company. It's still an S though. Match 4, 6-man tag, Triple Threat vs Spike Dudley, Chris Chetty and Supernova. Bigelow starts out desperately trying to prove the Hawk wrong. He instantly crushes Spike in the corner and hits one of the weirdest drop kicks of all time. A clothesline followed by a gutbuster and he tags out. Sadly, it's the best flurry of offense we've seen in this video. He returns soon after, torturing Spike Dudley with backbreakers. But then it cuts away and ECW decides to air no more of this match. Jesus Christ, this could be a long day, isn't it? It's a D. Match 5, Born to be Wired 1997, Spike Dudley vs Bam Bam. The story of this one is that Bam Bam is taking Spike too lightly. He slowly beats Spike around the ring. Bigelow teases throwing Spike into the crowd, but he won't do it and instead drops him to the mat. The crowd gasp in awe at a suplex, and Bam Bam isn't a rush to finish this match. It really does seem like it's only going one way, but Bam Bam misses a moonsault. Spike gets a nothing count off a dropkick. The acid drop is reversed into a brutal back suplex. Bigelow teases chokeslamming him, but decides not to do it. Bad choice as Spike headbutts him in the nutsack and out of nowhere hits him with a victory roll. That's the 3. Just not really that good, and Bam Bam hasn't done enough in ECW yet to be losing matches for his own negligence. Yet another D. Match 6, Hardcore Heaven 97, Spike Dudley vs Bam Bam Bigelow. Spike isn't scared of the big man, but that won't protect him. Bigelow launches him several streets away. Spike wakes up and hits a botched crucifix and a Dudley dog. His next dive is caught and he's decapitated into the mat. Bigelow manhandles Spike back up and throws him on top of the ring pole. He brings Spike back to the ring and this time he gorilla presses Spike into the crowd. Bam Bam celebrates with a goofy cartwheel. He does return, but probably wishes he didn't as Bigelow hits a piledriver variation. He finishes Spike off with a botched looking moonsault. This is what it needed to be, but he didn't really do anything with Spike that another big man wouldn't have done. It went 5 minutes too. It's a D. Match 7, ECW World Title, Shane Douglas the champion. He thinks he's about to have a match against Shawn Michaels, but instead it's Bam Bam. I don't think this necessarily means triple threat of split up, but more so that Bigelow wants the world title. Well actually, it is over with the triple threat. Pointless faction. Bigelow powers him around the ring with ease and hits a chokeslam into the ring. Douglas dumps his nappy of fear. He desperately tries to come back but instead gets picked up and dropped on the top rope. Bam Bam repeats the spot, this time throwing him out of the ring. Douglas does manage to come back and hit some clotheslines, a dropkick and a crossbody, but it's all to no avail. He incredibly manages to suplex Bigelow, but puts his back out in the process. Bigelow hits a rude awakening, but doesn't want to end the match yet. Instead he flies off the top and misses his headbutt. Bigelow isn't hurt and manages to counter into a DDT. He simply picks Douglas back up and beats him with his powerbomb. Bigelow is the ECW World Champion? Well, that came out of nowhere. It didn't really feel earned either. There wasn't much tension teased. Bigelow was not on a destructive path, and the match wasn't good either. It's a C for this world title win, but once again I'm left feeling disappointed. A cool moment for Bam Bam fans though. Match 8, ECW World Title match, the challenger Sabu versus the champion Bam Bam. Sabu isn't as easy as Spike Dudley as he slips out of the gorilla press, but gets a Bam Bam ass drop. Bigelow misses a baseball slide and Sabu smacks him out of a chair. Sabu now shows how a baseball slide is done and he sends Bigelow into the crowd. Sabu follows him into the crowd with a dive. He wants to put the big man through a table, but it collapses under his massive weight. Sabu doesn't care and slingshots himself down on Bigelow. Bam Bam battles his way back into the ring, avoiding a chair shot and powerbombs Sabu onto that same chair. He can't hit his diving headbutt though. Sabu hits a weak looking chair dive into the corner and another to knock Bigelow out of the ring. He keeps on the chair onslaught and hits a diving chair shot for a 2. Bigelow does look like he's going to win this one until Van Dam interferes and the match is thrown out. I guess it was going okay, but I'm still waiting for a Bigelow to impress me in some way. It's a D. Match 9, November to Remember 97 World Title match, Bam Bam Bigelow the champion versus Shane Douglas. This match is unnecessarily long at 25 minutes and most of it is the two guys slowly plodding around to a silent crowd. They wake up a bit when Bam Bam reverses a slam with a crossbody. Bigelow catches a top rope crossbody and easily turns it into a slam. It's bizarre seeing Bam Bam booed and Douglas cheered. Shane Douglas has never cheered, no one could possibly like this guy. God, this match is slow. Bigelow dumps Shane on the ring pole but isn't in a rush to do anything. He probably should have though because Douglas returns and powerbombs Bigelow for a table. Bigelow can't be beaten by that and for some reason he weakly sends Douglas out of the ring and proceeds to do absolutely nothing. There is an insane amount of standing around doing nothing in this match. Do something, you moron. Douglas clotheslines him out of the ring to the biggest pop of the match. He tries to dive on Bigelow but he's caught and powerbombed through a table. He eventually hits another powerbomb in the ring for just a 2. The triple threat tried to come to ringside to help their man. Bigelow press slams Douglas on top of them, and that was a pretty cool but dangerous looking spot. Bigelow wants to inflict more damage and the ref can't control his rage. Francine tries to take him out of a crutch, which he no-sells. Bigelow takes Douglas's head off and hits a crutch on his arm. Douglas hasn't managed to move for 10 minutes. Then he suddenly manages a reversal and hits the belly to belly, but he's too hurt to make a cover. Bigelow shuts him down again and sets up a broken table on a chair. Douglas is just waiting for this moment and hits a belly to belly on the structure and that's the 3. What a pointless world title reign that was. Both men suffered legit injuries in this match too and it wasn't worth it. It's a C at best. Match 10, House Party 1998, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Rob Van Dam. Weird seeing Bam Bam cheered over RVD. RVD teases kicking his face off and Bigelow shows him how it's done. RVD comes back with more kicks and an enziguri. Van Dam makes a bad choice to try and sunset flip Bam Bam, but he ass drops him. Huge throw into the air now, quickly followed by a powerbomb. RVD dumps his nappy of fear and bails from the ring. The Beast from the East seems to have it all under control on the outside. That is until Van Dam headsets him into a fence. Rob hits a couple of chair shots and kicks him into the crowd, with Rob following him with a dive. Rob isn't done and he flies off the top to the outside. Van Dam's getting impatient waiting for him to return, so he dives off the apron with a clothesline. This is pure dominance from RVD. Jesus, RVD, leave him alone. He heads to the top yet again and does another dive. Finally, back in the ring, RVD hits a leg drop. Bigelow dodges the Rolling Thunder and they both do whatever this was supposed to be. Finally, RVD misses a falling splash, but strangely no-sells it and hits a corkscrew leg drop for a 2. Rob smiles with happiness. Finally, Bigelow shrugs off a dropkick and slingshots RVD into the corner. He hits a simple elbow to the face for a 2. He reverses a random suplex and gets another 2 off a DDT. Feels like that should have been the other way around. He randomly tries a Swanton Bomb, which Rob tries to dodge, but Bigelow's legs still catch him. Dude, I was watching ECW House Party the other day, man, and this dude, Bam Bam Bigelow, he stole my Swanton Bomb finishing maneuver, man, but he sort of missed it. Dude, I'm going back to North Carolina, and I'm going to tell my stoner friend Shannon all about you, Bigelow, man. RVD goes back to using the steel chair. He hits the split-legged moonsault on Bam Bam's face, with the crowd chanting "You fucked up" for the 3rd or possibly the 4th time in this match. Bam Bam throws the chair into his face with authority. Bigelow gets distracted by Bill Alfonso. He throws him at Rob Van Dam with the crowd booing. I think they wanted to crowd surf Alfonso. Then something weird happens. I've watched this about 4 or 5 times and it just doesn't make sense. Somehow it's a ref bump, even though Bam Bam took the RVD kick. Bam Bam goes nuts for chair and gets distracted by Candido. He hits him with greetings from Asbury Park. Francine and Sonny are about to get one too, but Douglas makes the save. RVD attacks him from behind with a jumping sidekick to the back of the head, and he finishes him off with a frog splash. A very ugly match where at least Bigelow was well protected. I just can't call this good though, it was mostly a botchy mess, it's a D. This is starting to get concerning. We are now a good portion of the way into this video and nothing's come close to Benoit. At least there's some storyline progression now though. Taz and Bigelow are sort of forced together in their hatred of the triple threat. Bigelow's promos aren't the greatest either, and he even resorts to begging Taz on his knees for his help, and Taz tells him to be a man. This just isn't going well, Brit Boys. Match 11, 3-on-2 handicap, the triple threat which now has Lance Storm in the group versus begging Bam Bam and Taz. Well, it starts out well with Bigelow throwing Lance Storm up into the lights. He quickly powerbombs him too. Bigelow bills him into his partner's corner. Douglas reluctantly tags in. Taz gets the tag because he wants to prove that the TV title is more valuable than the world title. He seems to effectively prove that and he victoriously holds up the belt. Then Bigelow just turns on him and smashes him with the belt. And there's another turn here as Candido smashes Lance Storm with a belt. So I guess we're back to the original triple threat members. The match just ends without a winner. Everything feels a bit pointless now, but it furthers a feud between Taz and Bigelow, so that might be something. It's a D. Match 12, Living Dangerously 98, TV title match. Bam Bam, the challenger, against the champion, is Taz. Now Bigelow is being cheered again. I wish they'd make their damn minds up. Taz has no problems in the early going and he sends part of Bigelow through a table. Probably wasn't supposed to be happening, let's be honest. Bigelow catches this dive off the apron and drives him into the ring pole. Back in the ring, Bigelow hits a powerbomb for a 2. Taz comes back with a huge clothesline. He tries a Tazplex, which Bigelow turns over for a 2. Bigelow keeps getting distracted and Taz throws him onto the ramp where he hits an insane Tazplex off the ramp and onto chairs. That was madness. He's got to be dead. No, somehow they both get back up. Bigelow roughly smacks Taz with a chair. He struggles to get Taz back to ringside. Eventually he does do it, and in the ring Bam Bam hits a DDT. He climbs the top rope and pretty much misses his terrible moonsault. The pacing of the match all goes to hell as Bigelow keeps trying to set up the smash table from earlier. Eventually he does that and tries a powerbomb. Taz isn't having it though and he sort of flapjacks him through the table. The crowd have now changed their mind and they chant "choke him out" to Taz. They head back into the crowd where Taz hits Bigelow with a chair. Bam Bam smacks him in the nutsack and they both look exhausted. They head back to the ring where Taz fights off greetings from Asbury Park and he tries his Taz mission. Taz jumps on Bigelow's back and both men just fall backwards through the ring. The entire crowd leave their asses. Bigelow emerges from the hole first. He drags Taz out of the hole and makes the cover for the 3. Bam Bam is once again a champion. This match was more of a spectacle than a classic wrestling match. Bam Bam took a beating here and it was the best match so far, so it's a B from the Hawk. Let's just ignore the fact that Bam Bam tapped out before. Match 13, 6-man tag, the triple threat versus Lance Storm, Chris Chetty and Jerry Lynn. Bam Bam joins this one carrying Jerry Lynn around above his head before dumping him to the mat and headbutting him. The jobbers do eventually get on top with a triple dropkick on Bigelow and a crossbody. Lance Storm turns his attention to Candido when Bigelow sneaks up and hits greetings from Asbury Park for the 3. Not much here really, it's a D. Match 14, TV title match, Bam Bam Bigelow versus the Sandman. But first, Taz cuts a promo claiming that Bam Bam never beat him because he tapped out in the last match but the ref missed it. This one's just basically an ugly brawl. Sandman drops a table on Bigelow and then a ladder for good measure. Later, Bigelow sends him upside down onto the ladder. They both take turns caning each other like morons. Sandman attempts to squash him into the ladder, which Bigelow blocks, and he hits Greetings from Asbury Park for the 3. Pretty much nothing again, it's an S. Match 15, TV title match, Rob Van Dam challenges for Bigelow's belt. He's coming into this one with an ugly plaster stuck to his head. RVD hits the spinning heel kick, but just like last time he can't hit his monkey flip and it's countered with a powerbomb. Van Dam catches a breather before coming back with a nice flurry with a crossbody, a kick and a rolling splash. Bigelow stops him by sending him from the ring and he quickly sends him into the crowd where there are only wooden chairs to be found. Wooden like when the Hawk sees your girl. Van Dam dives off a fence and hits a hurricanrana into the crowd. He ain't done with the dives and hits a crazy dive out of the ring and back into the crowd. This is pure dominance now. RVD hits another crazy dive, flipping this time into the crowd. This is another moment which often makes the ECW highlight reel. Man, now RVD hits a diving guillotine leg drop. Bam Bam must be finished after all of that. But somehow Bigelow has the energy to smack him out and powerbomb him onto the table, which doesn't break. Instead, Bigelow drops the elbow off the apron. We now get a fight on the apron which doesn't look like a comfortable landing for either guy. Van Dam tries to dive back into the ring, but he's caught and powerbombed. Bigelow misses his moonsault and he gets a frog splash for a 2. Now Bigelow hits a sack of shit. I have no idea which way this one's going. He also hits a brainbuster which doesn't get the job done. He's about to hit Greetings from Asbury, but instead we get a ref bump and Sabu interferes for chair. Bigelow deals with him but can't avoid the Van Daminator. RVD wins. Wow, another short, pointless title reign. They couldn't decide if they wanted to push him or not. Best match so far, but was that down to Rob? You tell me, but it's going down as an A for this one. Match 16, WrestlePalooza 98. Well, this is random. Bam Bam Bigelow versus New Jack. Basically, New Jack just hits weapon shot after weapon shot, although caning Godzilla into Bigelow's nutsack was pretty funny. New Jack makes the mistake of trying to headbutt Bigelow and the match turns. The highlight of this one is despite being half dead, the security team decide to drag New Jack up into the balcony and force him to dive. Jack has a guitar and hits a falling guitar shot. Bigelow manages to get him back to the ring and hits Greetings from Asbury Park to end it. Pretty much a nothing match, it's an S. Match 17, Lance Storm vs Bam Bam Bigelow. Lance does a good job outspeeding him for a bit with a drop toe hold and a victory roll. He can't maintain this though and Bigelow starts throwing him around ringside but also throws chairs at him for some reason. This goes on for a while as well. I'm quite shocked the crowd don't join in. It doesn't finish Lance off, who comes back with a crossbody. Bigelow stops his next dive and hits his finish to end this one in just a few minutes. There was nothing remarkable here, but I did enjoy the chair spot, so it's a C. Match 18, Heatwave 1998, FTW title, Falls Count Anywhere, Bam Bam Bigelow vs the champion Taz. Bigelow powerbombs him literally straight away, which Taz no-sells and he goes nuts. He even hits a Samoan drop, which I'm just not okay with. Samoan drops should just be saved for Samoans and fat guys, and at this stage in his career Taz is neither. The fight heads up the ramp where Taz hits a kick. He tries to dive off the stage at Bigelow, which doesn't go so well for him. They brawl around the ramp area for a bit. Taz is relentless though and double legs Bam Bam on the concrete and also hits a Tazplex. Bigelow manages to weather the onslaught and they return to the ring where Bigelow hits another powerbomb. A table is set up in the corner and Taz is just simply whipped face first into the table. Bam Bam isn't done with this table. Taz fights back for clothesline and T-bones Bigelow through the table. Back on the ramp again and Taz reverses a slam with a DDT and they crash through the ramp. Bigelow crawls out first, but suddenly Taz emerges and he rushes Bigelow with the Taz mission and Bam Bam taps out. It's another quite iconic ECW match. I liked it for Taz and I guess Bam Bam did take some nasty bumps, so it's another A. Match 19, FTW title triple threat match, Sabu vs the champion Taz vs Bam Bam Bigelow. Bam Bam doesn't start in this match, he just sort of joins it. Taz suplexes Sabu onto Bam Bam. I think they botched this and Bam Bam was supposed to catch Sabu. They move on and Bigelow throws Sabu at Taz through the table. Taz gets whipped through another table just like the last match. We move on to Bigelow powerbombing Sabu. He's a dumbass though and he decides to threaten him, allowing Taz to kick him through a table. Taz and Bigelow start brawling in the crowd where Sabu hits a dive. At this point it feels like one of Bigelow's only moves is a powerbomb. On the other hand, Taz has many suplexes and he does one to Bigelow. It feels a bit like Bam Bam is just getting in the way of the other two, and he feels like the weak link in this match. Taz has him about to tap out, but can't manage that because Sabu throws chairs at him time and time again. Bam Bam almost loses again to a Samoan drop. Why isn't he doing anything? I just don't get it. Sabu starts brutalising him with a spike, and it looks like Bigelow is finished until he smacks Sabu in the nutsack and hits a splash. All three men desperately smack at each other as the time limit expires after an entire 30 minutes. The other two massively outshined him here, so it's a C. Match 20, ECW Tag Title 3-Way Dance, the Dudleys versus the champions RVD and Sabu and Chris Candido and Bigelow. The Beast from the East hits his standard one powerbomb before Rob reverses his next one, hits a diving crossbody and a diving sidekick. He bails from the ring, but he still isn't safe from Van Dam's dives. Not a lot is happening. Candido actually manages to eliminate the Dudleys for splash. Bigelow tries to rocket launcher his own partner, but doesn't even come close to landing the move. Bigelow is left in a handicap situation and he's wiped out by RVD and Sabu. Later on he has the chance to powerbomb Sabu for a table, but completely ignores it and soon regrets doing that as Sabu bulldogs him through that very table. RVD kicks a chair into Candido's face and that's how this one ends. Bigelow looked pretty dumb here and he just doesn't do anything. I'm constantly left disappointed. It's a D. Match 21, Masato Tanaka vs Bam Bam. I was really relieved to see someone new facing our guy. Tanaka gets us started with a high ankle back suplex which Bigelow no-sells and clotheslines him. They botch a powerbomb reversal, possibly it was supposed to be a victory roll, when they head out the ring with Tanaka hitting a dive. Tanaka keeps using a chair. He tries to do a dive back into the ring which Bigelow counters and hits a slam. The Beast nails a powerbomb which fortunately goes off without a hitch this time. Bigelow beats him up around the ring with clotheslines as the crowd get on his back. Tanaka fights back with a drop toe hold and a bulldog. They both have steel chairs and the duel is won by Bam Bam because he cheats. It's okay because Tanaka loves a good old chair to the head. Bigelow doesn't like it so much and he's almost beaten. A table comes into the ring. Tanaka tries to DDT him for it, which Bigelow reverses. He can't make a pin because RVD and Sabu rush the ring and set Bigelow up on the table. They hit stereo dives to Bigelow through the table and Tanaka gets the free. Apparently this was payback due to an earlier attack on Bill Alfonso. Bigelow seems to just exist for people like RVD, Sabu and Taz to look better, so I guess he's doing the JOB. He's okay, I'm just shocked at the lack of offense for a guy his size. It's a C. Match 22, 6-man tag, RVD, Sabu and Masato Tanaka take on the triple threat. The smaller guys all wipe each other out, leaving Tanaka and Bam Bam to brawl. Gotta love those punches from Tanaka. The Dudley boys are dicks and decide to interfere and hit a 3D on Tanaka. It's basically a prolonged 5-on-2 beatdown for a bit. The ECW roster try to save them and they catch a beatdown too, but the mood changes when Taz arrives. The match just ends without a winner. Bigelow did nothing, it's an S. Match 23, singles match, Sabu vs Bam Bam Bigelow. I thought this would be an obvious win for Sabu. It looks like it's going that way too when he hits a dive into the crowd and also hits the acai moonsault into the guardrail. But this seems to hurt him more than Bigelow and he does a front slam on a chair. For a brief moment he looks like a one-man wrecking machine as he hurls Sabu out of the ring and through a table. Sabu manages to take him down with a chair onslaught and a chair-assisted leg drop. He keeps going with a triple jump moonsault. He tries another one which just looks like a classic Sabu botch. Now he hits the Arabian facebuster and puts on a camel clutch. Douglas interferes using his cast arm. Then Bigelow sets up for greetings from Asbury Park, which RVD tries to break up, and they all sort of collapse to the mat. And somehow that's a win for Bigelow. Looked weak as hell. Minus a few moves in the first couple of minutes, he did nothing. It's a D. Match 24, final match, November to November 98, 6-man tag, the triple threat versus RVD and Sabu, who are attacked on the ramp by the Dudleys, and their partner is Taz, who kills the Dudleys all on his own. Bigelow seems to be allergic to wrestling at this point, we barely see him. Eventually he does something and hits some rib breakers on Sabu. He looks exhausted already. This match is just so frustrating because everything Bigelow does fails at this point. He just doesn't look like a threat for a man his size and sure doesn't use his size to his advantage. RVD eventually hits him with a dive into the crowd and Sabu wins with an Arabian facebuster. I struggled to stay awake. Game over, it's an S. Just 2 weeks after this, Bigelow would leave ECW due to getting fed up with the checks bouncing on him. He would show up in WCW and enter a feud with Bill Goldberg. He spent most of his final years in extreme pain and became an addict to cope with that pain. Bam Bam Bigelow passed away in 2007 from a cocktail of drugs, which was ruled as accidental. Well, that was a little bit disappointing. Clearly a very agile big man when he could be bothered, but he's been far surpassed since. This was not like when some other ex-WWF stars went to ECW. Bigelow just didn't have the presence and fan connection of someone like a Sid Vicious. Yes, he had some memorable moments in the company, but there was also a whole lot of nothing. He could do a moonsault, but it rarely looked any good, and we hardly saw his finisher, which was one of the few things I liked about him. And to make matters even worse, he spent most of this video being a lackey for Shane Douglas. It became clear around match 10 that this run wasn't toppling Benoit, not even close. Now, he did manage to win 2 titles, even if they were blink and you'd miss them reigns, and I did enjoy some of these matches, but they were just more bad than good. So for that reason, Bam Bam Bigelow in ECW gets a middle of the road C grade from the Hawk. I just don't think there was enough to justify him getting any higher, and if you don't agree with that, you're a liar.